This is our presentation on toddlers versus technology. I'm Kayla Robinson.
I'm Filsa
I'm
Abdullahi.
I'm Kaylin Flemons.
I'm Jalissa Aguilar.
Okay, and here we go.
So this is my slide. The question was, how do you see technology positively and negatively impacting toddlers today? And then I said, I think technology is hard to avoid in today's society, and that toddlers should have a limited amount of time in front of screens. About 96% of American homes have a TV, and 94% of children ages 3 through 18 have internet access, either through a smartphone or through a computer. 53% of children have a smartphone by the time they turn 11. And then I will just go into some of my notes. So some negative impacts. Technology can affect children's social skills, relationships, health, and ability to focus. It negatively impacts social skills because they don't always fully develop social skills or cues. They can be socially awkward, withdrawn, shy, or intimidated by social situations. They're not able to socialize with adults or other children. It negatively impacts relationships due to disliking being alone, and they don't fully engage with family or friends outside of the internet. And they are more into virtual reality. It affects their health by problem solving. Skills are affected. They would rather go to their device and solve a problem. They stay indoors more due to being on the internet and not getting enough physical activity. They lose ability to focus due to short attention span and get easily distracted. And another way it's negatively impacts is that parents don't always see what their child is searching on the internet. Some positive impacts are that it just depends on how the internet is used. It could be used for organization, helps the kids stay updated, organizing, planning, and communication. It helps with staying in touch with relatives or friends outside of town, interacting with other friends online, and learning to work as a team. It works with self-expression, sharing thoughts and inputs online, helps build confidence, connecting with others, exposure to others' viewpoints or perspectives, and it helps with learning new skills through different apps, exploring personal interests, as in playing instruments or writing or other interests.
Okay, I'm next. My name is Kayla Robinson. The question was, how do you see technology positively and negatively impacting toddlers today? So on one hand, I see technology having no negative impact on today's toddlers simply because for the most part, most of their technology is educational based or some sort of toy. But on the other hand, I am aware that technology is a distraction and can also inhibit a child's development due to lack of face-to-face communication with their parent or any human being for that matter. Not only that, but it also takes away from toddlers' ability to pay attention to certain things. To explain further, electronics like smartphones and tablets make it harder for people to concentrate and easier for people to be distracted by constant sounds and notifications. And that was from this article that I pulled up. Here's the link for it. It's titled The Negative Effects of Technology on Children. And an example I have with this, or a personal experience I have with this, is my 1-year-old niece. So she basically grew up, well, she's one. She has an older brother who's 4, and he has been having an iPad, which is strictly for, like educational purposes, but he also watches YouTube Kids on there. So he watches, or my niece watches his iPad, and she typically has a hard time like focusing. And if I like, I'll be like, hey, like what color is this, like try to do like educational things, she has like a really short attention span. So yeah, I just feel like, technology sometimes it's not always a bad impact, but it does have its pros and cons. So that's my take on it.
So for my slide, once again answering the question, how do you see technology positively and negatively impacting toddlers today? So there are obviously positives and negatives to technology in all age groups, but with specifically toddlers, starting with the positives, they have an ability to recognize key information with our minds filled with different people and visual anecdotes has increased with the use of technology, meaning they're able to have better memory and remember things better despite all that they've been learning from school. Additionally, playing video games and watching YouTube actually increases hand-eye coordination because of the impact on the left eye frontal field, otherwise known as FEF, which is on the frontal cortex of the brain. The third bullet point I have is that it improves hand-eye coordination, and studies show that technology helps kids multitask effectively, and kids can learn how to listen and type at the same time, and the instant access to communication and information really allows us to easily switch from one thing to another, which also goes into multitasking abilities. So the last positive is improved visual spatial development, and spatial skills includes like reading maps, following directions, building puzzles, and these skills can be increased with the use of video games. So the negatives of technology is that it has decreased critical thinking skills. So studies have shown that an increase in technology leads to a decrease in critical thinking skills because there's little to no verbal communication happening, and because kids are on technology and they're not exposing themselves to books or any other form of literature. Text messaging doesn't really allow you to expand in thought the way conversation expansion does, and because it allows kids to build on conversational skills in accordance to books or real-life experiences. The second negative is developmental risks. So technology has been shown to have a negative effect on emotional and cognitive skills during a toddler's developmental stage, and technology makes it harder for toddlers to grow in verbal skills and decision-making skills, and a child can develop an internet's way of thinking with quick skimming through reading and trying to take in information all at once. Emotionally, it can make it harder for them to express themselves, which leads to them getting easily agitated, which can have effects later in life with anxiety and depression. The fourth negative is affecting sleep quality. So according to a 2014 study, increase in technology use makes it harder to sleep at night due to most people keeping screens in their bedroom at night, making it harder for them to put it away. Additionally, it leads to an increase in sleep awakenings in the middle of the night and anxiety at night due to mind racing and the feeling of restlessness. Lastly, social isolation, which I know a couple of my group members touched on a little bit earlier. Due to the increase in technology, a toddler will miss out on day-to-day conversation with friends and family member, and this lack of conversation expansion, which was explained earlier, can lead to children becoming socially isolated, and it can make it harder for them when they get older or even during their growing up stages to make friends or hold basic conversation. Social isolation can lead to an increase in health problems in adulthood, such as increased stress levels and detriment in learning.
Jalissa, and I'm the last one to present and answer the question of how technology positively and negatively impacts toddlers today. I feel like technology can be very useful in a lot of different ways. Most of us use it every day, all day. But specifically with toddlers, I feel like it could be positively impact them due to the amount of knowledge that could be gained by just using technology, watching videos. I know even now as a college student, I still use technology to learn different topics, especially being a science major. I know watching a video really helps me out. So I can only imagine as a toddler how much they can gain and learn from watching videos and playing games and using it for educational purposes. But I also know that there's also a few negatives that go along with technology, as a few other of my members in the group have also touched on that. Yes, a lot of the times growing up, people, especially toddlers that use technology day to day, they kind of lack in the face-to-face interactions, which can cause issues socially later on in life, as well as an inactive lifestyle, and along with a lot of safety risks. So they could get onto websites that they shouldn't be on. I know a lot of, like, once they get older, like letting out too much information online, because you never know what could happen. That's always an issue that I feel like can negatively impact toddlers.